Good day, I'm Theodore Henry, and this is your JIS News for Friday, February 15. Government is proposing to spend $803 billion managing the country's affairs in the 2019-2020 fiscal year. $731 billion is allocated for recurrent or housekeeping expenses, while $72 billion will fund capital development projects. Minister of Finance and the Public Service, Dr. Nigel Clark, tabled the estimates of expenditure in the House of Representatives yesterday afternoon. As usual, the Finance Ministry receives the largest sum, with most of that $391 billion earmarked to meet the country's debt obligations. The Ministry of Education, Youth and Information is getting an additional $4 billion for recurrent expenses and a $1.2 billion capital allocation for a total of $110.6 billion. Other notable allocations include more than $72 billion for health delivery, $20 billion for economic growth and job creation, $17 billion to the Office of the Prime Minister, and $10.2 billion for the Ministry of Justice. The national budget for the fiscal year that starts on April 1 also reveals a major commitment to national security. That portfolio is getting a significant boost of $7.6 billion to its capital budget for a total of close to $93 billion when recurrent expenses are added. The Standing Finance Committee of Parliament will now receive and review the estimates on March 4 and 5 before the Finance Minister begins the budget debate on March 7. In the meantime, the increased expenditure on security matters is to be accompanied by important legislative advancements. As he delivered the throne speech in Parliament yesterday, Governor-General Patrick Allen said the Enhanced Security Measures Act would be developed and tabled by March 2020. The new parliamentary year will also see work advancing on the National Security Council Act and the Police Act. Sir Patrick said these interventions by the government would have to be matched by commitment and determination from all Jamaicans.
It requires a shared vision, strategic planning, skill and the dexterity in execution for us to achieve the peaceful and prosperous Jamaica that we all want.
In support of the security laws, as well as government's development agenda, draft regulations for the National Identification and Registration Act will be further refined. This is to be achieved through ongoing consultations with state entities, civil society groups, and the private sector.
The government will continue the digitization of the records of the Registrar General's Department, work on the business process for enrollment, vetting, quality control, issuance, renewals, and consent-based identity verification in preparation for transitioning to a digital economy.
Also coming out of this year's throne speech is news that government will be implementing a $1 billion social housing program. It is to benefit the indigent and relocate communities deemed vulnerable or labeled as tenement yards.
The government will undertake a comprehensive multi-agency national survey of squatter settlements to accurately ascertain the extent of squatting in the country.
This will be administered under the Housing, Opportunity, Production and Employment Program. The Governor-General also announced plans to upgrade the Spanish Town, Maypen and St. Anne's Bay hospitals in keeping with population expansion and the increased need for specialist medical services. Meanwhile, newly appointed Minister of Science, Energy and Technology, Favour Williams, is promising accountability and good governance at agencies under her administration, including Petrojam. Minister Williams says her ministry will be the first to take up Cabinet's policy of transparency in the selection of boards and committees.
It will be about institutionalizing good governance in the procurement process, in HR, and across the institution. Because right now, what the Jamaican people want is for their hope and their trust to be restored in this organization. And so that's the first order of business. Of course, we have to ensure that the operations of the entity, especially Petrojam, continues and runs well. We have to complete on the ownership structure of the entity so that we can move forward and make those decisions that need to be made.
The new Minister of Science, Energy and Technology was speaking with JIS News following yesterday's ceremonial opening of Parliament. Her promotion from Minister without portfolio at the Finance Ministry took effect on Thursday. And finally, the Ministries of Transport and Education are working to scale up the installation of virtual reality driving simulators in the nation's high schools. So far, 3 schools have the devices which assist in the training of safe driving techniques. Transport Minister Robert Montego says work is ongoing to increase the numbers.
And we are trying to also introduce driver ed in all the high schools so that when a person moves out of the high school and moves to apply for a driver's license, they would already be familiar with the intricacies of driving on our roads. One of the simulators was actually built here in Jamaica by a Jamaican over in Portmore, and we are hoping to partner with him to produce more for the other high schools.
And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Theodore Henry. Thanks for watching.